If you split a product into its two essential components, you can start to parse out what makes a great product. On the one side, you have the design. And to get this right, you need to have a reasonably compelling idea. You need to have some level of taste, but most importantly, you need dedicated, talented people crafting that design, which is the designers.
On the other side is manufacturing. Pretty messy, pretty complicated, but the easiest way to solve messy complications is
a massive budget. It's like a steamroller that just plows through any obstacles in the production process. And if you were a designer with a massive budget, I'm so thrilled for you. You did it.
Good job.
The problem is, we don't have a massive budget. Our second and our only option is to figure out how to turn great designs into these great products without a massive budget. So it may seem like an impossible equation, but having done this for almost 15 years now, I can tell you that there is a solution. And throughout this video, I'm gonna explain to you what it is.
Nice! Bada bing, bada boom.
And hopefully convince you that it has led to even better products than what we would have made if we had had a massive budget. And the solution can be found inside this box. Everyone's like, what the fuck? It's like junk?
Yeah.
Junk is the solution?
On day 12 of our most recent trip to visit our factories, we collected all the samples we gathered throughout our 12-day trip, consolidated them into this box, and brought them home to Brooklyn. Each of these different samples tells a unique and very cool story about our manufacturing process. Chosen carefully, they present the three-part solution to our problem. First being partnerships.
You get a really tight shot of that.
If you want to get your product design manufactured, you might start here at the Canton Fair in Guangzhou, China. The Canton Fair is the world's largest trade fair where thousands and thousands of factories will go show their goods, and someone like me, a designer, if I find something I like, I'll strike a partnership. How long do you have to stand on here?
Stand on it.
For a long time?
That's 30 minutes
Oh, okay.
per time. Yeah.
Got it. The reason we went to the Canton Fair mainly was to show you the wide spectrum of quality of products, to try to convey how difficult it might be to build a partnership with someone like this.
Especially when we were starting out, we didn't have deep pockets that would open doors at basically any factory for us. We had to rely on other things, selling ourselves and selling our designs. Occasionally you will find the right supplier and partner who they're open to exploring this idea in earnest with us. The best example, this partner is probably Michael.
Go Michael!
Yeah, probably working with him for like 5 or 6 years. And on our most recent trip, one story at least that I think demonstrates how great of a partner Michael is. When we were working on this new sample for a top secret project, I was like so pumped to see the die cast parts coming off of the machine.
This is a rare opportunity where we made some changes to the design and they were just implemented on this new tool. And so this is the first time that I'm seeing these changes that we made.
After the first batch of parts had come out of the machine, normally I assumed that they had to get de-sprued and tumbled and finished, but Michael immediately kind of got to work trying to assemble and produce a working sample for us on the floor of the factory, which seemed like kind of insane idea. After like a half an hour of him fiddling with it, didn't quite get there, and we were like, you know, that was like a valiant effort, let's go to dinner. But then right after dinner, he like pulled out of his pocket a working sample, and it just blew my mind.
The facility in which we were at to get those parts was not where this product would be assembled. So it was like, where did you go to do this?
Yeah.
And then you just did it.
We found Michael through this shared excitement about some of these projects that we had. If we'd had a massive budget, we wouldn't have done such an extensive search to find the right supplier that connected with our ideas and not just with our budget. And we would never have found Michael in the first place. Not having a massive budget actually helped us maybe find the right person. It is like through those connections to the partners like Michael that unlock the next piece of the solution, allowing us to get on the factory floors and do what we call get dirty. I want to try to explain that with some version of like a graph. If you imagine that there's like a spectrum of manufacturing scale, on one side there's like a craftsman. The designer and the maker are the same person. As you grow in scale, the designer and the maker, they grow apart. There's a long chain of people between the designer and the maker. Is often what comes in tow when you have a big budget and a massive project. We don't have a massive budget, so we are naturally already closer to the making process, but we actively go out of our way to try to shrink that distance or eliminate it entirely. When the designers and the makers are working so closely together, you get many of the efficiencies that you'd find on a massive supply chain, but you also get the kind of care and consideration and quality you might find closer to the craftsman side of the supply chain. There were two very clear examples of how being really close to the machine and seeing the processes has helped us. First, from the Summit card case production. One of the many details that we learned that was incredibly helpful, it basically bakes in an incredibly hot furnace for a couple of days until it solidifies into a solid stainless steel part. If you were to lay our lid flat onto those ceramic tiles and then bake it, would solidify, but the lid would droop down. And so the way that they have been addressing it is they use this other ceramic block and they actually fire them lined up, sitting vertical.
That's our neck pillow for our lid when it goes to take a nap in the oven.
This sparked a conversation because we were already working on expansions of this product family, some of which aren't quite as flat as this one. There were some discussions about how best we could basically tweak the design so that it wouldn't deform within the sintering oven. If we were to have proceeded with our new designs that are a little bit more curvaceous, it basically would have required custom ceramic blocks to be made, which would have been like an extra $6,000 or $7,000. Helped us design better parts that are more efficient. So the second example was with this paper pulp packaging. This is like a goal of ours, to transition as much packaging as possible to molded paper. We've never been to a factory. We've never actually seen the process. There's been like a lot of distance between us and the production process. We got to see firsthand these like different steps of the process and different possibilities.
So this is all the like raw paper before it gets pulped. So all of these holes are basically so that it can suck in the water paper slurry, and then the layer of the paper pulp is on the outside.
And then we had some ideas that we got to sit down with the engineers there and try to talk through.
The internet's being weird. And we thought they looked awesome. However, some of them were pretty non-feasible. So it was great to be able to pull up the CAD. They were like, this is great, this is not great. And the hunter even was like, let's use like a button and string tie. And then they were like, what is that?
I think we wanted to avoid magnets.
It would have been like a month easily of back and forth on emails and video calls to get to the same place that we got in one day. Not having a massive budget has required us to get close to the manufacturing process.
That was way more brittle than I thought.
So we can understand what's feasible. But this requirement to get close has resulted in us being better designers. Thinking about these processes before we're even conceiving of a new product feels like the design and the manufacturing are holding hands, and I think that actually results in better products. Perversely, the lack of massive budget actually results in better products and us as better designers. And now I'm just holding my hands. That maybe leads us into the last and most important part, to have fun.
Just have fun.
Just have fun with it, you know? To explain why having fun is, I think, the most important part of the solution, we actually have to go all the way back to the beginning. To be honest, there probably could have been ways for Craighill to get a massive budget for certain projects in the past, but I think we've come to this conclusion that the massive budget is secretly a trap. That is because it creates a lot of financial pressure. Outside investors or corporate overlords who demand a return on that massive investment. The result often is that you need to not take creative risk because they don't immediately look great on a spreadsheet. And ultimately, it compromises creative and exploratory freedom. That is like the kernel of what I think makes Craighill great. And that's the one thing that we refuse to compromise on. We did all of this to maintain the creative freedom on this side. And so of course, that excitement and joy is gonna bleed through into the manufacturing process. But how does it lead to actually better products? It's connected to the first two, but it's a little bit more fundamental, and I think it's gonna require us rearranging this board. The truth is that it's actually more of this cycle that feeds back into itself. The design requires and leads to building partners that can execute on them. That then leads to learning about different manufacturing processes in a really intimate way. That in turn informs the design of new products. And the fun is like the fuel that keeps this cycle going.
When we had fun, a lot of fun on this factory floor.
Hey, bada bing, bada boom.
the owner of that factory, he got to see that, and I feel like it's very rare. And he's like, whoa, that's not just a weird mustache shape. That mustache shape brings those two guys so much joy.
Ah, that's so cool.
We were able to build that partnership with them.
Second reason is that it feeds directly into furthering our understanding of manufacturing processes. To travel long distances and spend long days visiting tons of factories, joy is what motivates us to continue doing it and to continue learning about specific processes.
The raw material is being fed into this conveyor belt furnace as hot as the blanks need to be to go into the die and get forged.
If joy and satisfaction are present in every step, then it feeds out into the final product itself. And I believe that people can tell when there's been some amount of joy and satisfaction in the process.
I fucked up.
And that feeling that comes through in the final product is one you can't buy with a massive budget.
So well said.
Yeah, thank you.
Le vent tempête du ciel, ça roule de pain.